It helps if I actually put myself in the room, in the studio, to be able to talk to you. This is Jets Chaos, aka Jeremy, soon to be New York City Chaos, not Sacramento, in just a couple of weeks because we got the NFL draft coming up for 2024. And I will be at the main event in Long Island, New York with Green Bean, Matt O'Leary, and Ryan from Talking Jets. And a whole host of others will be there. We'll be back to talk about that, but we're going to do a live talking show right now. Let's see how many people we can get to call into the show. If you're watching on Twitter and you want to call in, unfortunately, you'll have to go over to YouTube, look up Jets Chaos, and get in that way. You're more than welcome. And just hit the link that will be in the chat and you'll be ready to go. And here we go with a little intro, an oldie but goodie. Let's see, where is it? I think it's this one right here.
Let's go! We need JJ! We want JJ! We want JJ! We want JJ! Let's go!
JJ! We got Johnson! We got Johnson at 26! We got Johnson at 26! This is great!
It is Matt, it is Richie. We are hanging out with the Jets Lounge guys. Richie, my man, how's it going?
Matt, this is sick. We're at the Jets Lounge event in Farmingdale. The main event is what it's called. We got the entire Rucker family over there.
Jets! Jets!
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. That was me looking at my monitor. I love that. I love that. That was pure Jet fandom at its absolute best. Bunch of guys never knew each other. They met online, whether it was on Twitter or through YouTube. A guy named Sack Exchange brought them all together. And the next thing you know, they're in Brooklyn together. And instead of at home watching the draft alone, they're at a party and they're going crazy. And the beautiful thing about that is now it's Talking Jets' turn to host and sponsor a party at the main event in Long Island. And we'll all be together and we'll be able to, a bunch of us, whoever wants to go, whoever can go. It's going to be open bar, buffet, all kinds of stuff. You know how much I love a buffet. There's nothing like a buffet with plenty of food. This is a live call-in show. I'm going to put the link in. Right now, we got some people here earlier from the YouTube side. We got the Boomtown 89ers. What's going on? We got Dano. Chaotic phone lines. I like that. I should call the show something like that. And then we got Snowball saying the pregame is moved to All-American in Massapequa. Okay. I really like Wendy's and was kind of salivating for a pretzel bun baconator. But here's the deal, Snowball. I can probably get my buddy to drive me there and drop me off. I don't have a car. So I expect transportation from the All-American to the main event afterwards. If you can handle that, maybe I can handle showing up there. E-Boogie, what's going on? Boogie Down Productions. DDT, he down with BBT. Yeah, you know me. Boogie Down Productions. Scott LaRock. Wild Wave is here. What's going on, Wild Wave? Good to see you. Okay. Yeah, you. All right, I'll try to get there. I want to look that place up. All American. I'm assuming it's like more of a bar, American type food. I want to just go there and get a few beers and build up an appetite, and then hit up the main event for the draft party, hit that buffet, and amaze some people. So what's going on, Jay? It's good to see you. I don't know why Dano's not going to go to the draft party. What a disappointment. Ant Jets 82, what's going on? Good to see you. Mike, the stat guy, is here. Good to see you, my friend. And I hope everybody is ready for, look, it's going to be an amazing draft. But tonight, an amazing match. We're going to talk Jets. We're going to continue to talk about what we think we're going to do in the draft. We haven't made any moves, so I'm beginning to think that we're not going to see any more free agent moves until after the draft. Although there's a 2.5 weeks to go. I think last year, about a week before the draft was when we re-signed Connor McGovern. So we might see some little moves like that in the coming 2 weeks. I don't know. We also had some interesting news about who the Jets set up interviews with, like Curley, the wide receiver that we all like. He's like the running back wide receiver. He was a running back. He's known as the Yat King. And we had a meeting with him, but he met with like 10 other NFL teams. So I think if we want him, we might have to grab him before 72. I don't know how long he's going to stick around at this point. With all these teams talking about him, I think the secret is out. Maybe it's not such a secret. He was at the Senior Bowl. Before he got hurt, he was having a great week. Like the couple of days before he got hurt, he had really good practices. He looked really good. So I don't know how long he's going to last. He's kind of an interesting weapon. So we'll see. Do you guys remember this? Sunny D? That corny commercial with like the California kid. Yeah, some Sunny D from the fridge, man. Like when they ran in from skateboarding or whatever. I like it because it's like sugary. Dana, what did you hear? What did you hear? He's got something to say. I heard at Snowball is giving me a ride to the draft party. Only 370 miles. I forgot that you don't live in the New York area. You live near Pittsburgh, right? My brother right now, my brother Matthew, is about 10 miles south of Pittsburgh, and he's in a hotel. He did a stopover. He's heading to Niagara Falls, and I actually told him, I said, you should try Primanti Brothers sandwiches. And I said, look for a location because they have a lot of locations now. And he did, and he's actually eating that sandwich for dinner right now and reviewing it. So we're going to find out, if he liked it or not. So that'll be interesting. Proud New York Jets fan is here. He says, get yourself some Sunny D. So he noticed it before I even started talking about it. The guy is always watching me, like looking at what I'm doing. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's a little eerie. Sunny D from the movie Kazam. I was at Costco. Here's what happened. I was at Costco. I'm trying to get off the caffeine. Drinking too many things that have caffeine. So I need something because we drink seltzer a lot, but I need something in the fridge that's fun. You know what I mean? So I can't buy the freaking Mountain Dew or the Dr. Pepper or the Pepsi or the Coke. And I see this giant case of Sunny D. And I'm like, I remember that from when I was a kid. It's kind of like Tang. It used to compete with Tang. But Tang, you had to make it yourself, if I remember correctly, with like the powder. So I said, I'm going to give Sunny D a chance again. I'm going to give it a try. And I bought a case. My wife made fun of me, yelled at me or whatever, the whole thing. You bought Sunny D. Why would you do that? Sugar, this and that. She drinks more than I do. I had to hide some because we're going to run out in 3 days because she literally herself is going to drink 25 bottles of this stuff. All right. It's always what she does. Makes fun of me, but then she can't stop drinking it. Hawaiian Punch is elite too. Hawaiian Punch was also another one of those drinks that was powder or container, right? I remember the powder. What I didn't understand was I remember the powder for Hawaiian Punch being very sweet. And I would mix it into the jar and shake it up. And you put in ice or whatever, and it was always really good. What confuses me on the movie Friday, they have Hawaiian Punch powder, and the guy is complaining, like Ice-T, Is it Ice-T or is it Ice Cube? Ice Cube was complaining to Tucker. He's like, man, you got no sugar. He goes, that's like spaghetti without the meatballs. You remember that whole routine? That's like, you got, the cereal, no milk. You got the hot, no dog. And he's complaining because they don't got the sugar for the Kool-Aid. And I didn't understand that. And I still don't understand that, because when I bought Kool-Aid, it came in that thing with the scoop thing, and it was very sweet. So I just don't get the sugar part. Did they ever sell like a sugar-free Kool-Aid where you had to add sugar separately? Because I don't think sugar dissolves that well, regular granulated sugar. So that would be annoying to me. I actually, because of that, when I add sugar to cocktails, I have simple syrup in the house because of that, because the sugar doesn't dissolve well unless the drink is very hot, like coffee. I don't know. Maybe it's just maybe I'm crazy. I just don't understand why you'd have to add sugar to Kool-Aid, except maybe there was a sugar-free Kool-Aid. I don't know. If anybody knows, let me know. Looks like we got a super chat. I still drink Yoo-Hoo at 30. So what? I love Yoo-Hoo. When I was in New York, because it's not that it doesn't exist out here, but out here in California, when I see Yoo-Hoo, it's in a can. And you might know what I'm talking about. That's okay. And sometimes the drink boxes, they have it, and that's okay. But nothing beats a Yoo-Hoo in one of those bottles. The 16-ounce, shake it up really hard. You guzzle that thing down. When I was in New York this last trip, a couple of weeks ago, I got myself a Yoo-Hoo. Because I remember when I was a kid, I'd go to a bagel store, get a cream cheese bagel and a Yoo-Hoo. Best combination in the world. The only problem is that sometimes I needed two, because the Yoo-Hoo goes by. I guzzle the first one down. It's like a burner. You know what I mean? Gup, 16 ounces, and then I'll slowly sip the second Yoo-Hoo. Just by sparkling ice. Lots of flavors. I have seltzer. I buy flavored seltzers. They have that at Costco too, Waterloo, that brand, and it has all these different flavors. I don't like the Kirkland because they have grapefruit, and that's gross. Let's see what's going on here. People are calling me Jeremiah. I love that. It reminds me of high school. I had a friend who did that. He'd be like, Jeremiah. Greetings. What's up? What's up? Daniel Murphy is here. What's going on? Yeah, Yoo-Hoo is amazing. Once I was really stoned in college, and I came up with something that my friends still remember me saying, and that was, if you could make an alcoholic beverage, and this was before now we have a lot of beverages that actually taste pretty damn good that are scary. This is scary, but this was a premonition before any of that happened. All there was wine coolers, which were sugary grossness that made you sick, or beer. And what usually I was being honest. I go, I'm 23 years old. Beer tastes like shit to me. I said, but I drink it like everybody else. Cold beer, I'll drink it. I'm cool. I'm in college. I got to get drunk. But the reality was, I made this statement. If you had an alcoholic beverage that tastes exactly like Yoo-Hoo, so I mean, no taste of alcohol, it just was Yoo-Hoo, but it had alcohol in it, it makes you drunk, the entire country would be drunk all the time, because Yoo-Hoo tastes that freaking good. It is. It's the best tasting drink. I don't know who doesn't think so. It's amazing. Like the video, boys. Thank you. That would be great if people could like the video. Thank you for the super chat, big fella. I appreciate it. Sparkling ice is the best flavored sparkling water on the market. I will definitely try it. I will look for it. I don't know if it exists in California, but I will look. Sparkling ice is the brand, I'm assuming. So I will look for it. And if I find it, I'll drink. I will definitely try it. It'd be great if it was 0 calories, but I'm getting the feeling that it's not. But maybe it is. Hopefully it is. Did I leave the name Egghead under my name? Oh, my God. It was supposed to be a one-time joke, and now I'm literally the Egghead. Okay, I think I got it. I think I'm ready to post or paste the link if you want to call into the show. There we go. That's the StreamYard link if you want to call in. And we'll get started with this bad puppy call-in show. We're going to talk about, look, what's there else to talk about? We got a draft coming up. Somebody made an interesting remark on Twitter. They said, look, JD addressed a lot of things in free agency. We don't know what we're going to see. We don't know what's going to happen in this draft. There's a lot of ways to go. And we could just sit here and we're going to speculate, and eventually the move is going to happen, and a percentage of our fan base is going to be really happy and cheer. A percentage is just going to be okay with it. And then we're going to get another percentage of the fan base that goes absolutely berserk angry, right? And that's the way it is. Charles Gorman, I see him twice on my screen right now because he's actually in the back. We're going to bring him in. But he also gave a super chat. So thank you for the super chat, Charles. And I appreciate that. And because you did that, I'm going to get to you right away, right now, and bring you right into the show.
Hello, Jets Chaos. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking.
All right. I see you on you got your Yankee shirt on. I like it.
Yes, I'm a big-time New York Yankees fan. Hold on one second.
Okay. Also very famous for calling into the Jake Osmond show.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Oh, I like the hat. I like the hat too.
It's a Superman hat, yes.
Yeah, I'm definitely a fan.
I'm definitely I might do a Superman marathon on starting April 15th on my channel.
Oh, cool. So what does that entail?
My channel, I haven't done any videos in quite a while, but my last video I did my thoughts on the 2-episode premiere of X-Men 97, which I really enjoyed so far. It's on Disney Plus. If you haven't seen it, from what I've watched so far, from what I heard, it's a really fantastic show. It's the sequel to the legendary and iconic 1992 X-Men animated series. I'm a huge fan of the X-Men, so that was my exposure to the X-Men growing up as a kid, was through that series. And considering that April 18th is Superman's 86th anniversary, I said, you know what, let me celebrate the character's existence. And don't worry, I will do a Batman marathon eventually.
I like that you're not caught up on Marvel or DC and you just like who you like. And you don't care.
Well, I grew up a bigger fan of Marvel and DC, but I have like some of the independent companies. Like I love Spawn. I have yet to read a Spawn comic. I would also like to read an Invincible comic. I've watched many episodes of the Invincible animated series on Amazon Prime. For what I've seen, it is fantastic, but I will mind you, it is extremely violent. And I have yet to watch The Boys.
Cool. I like it. So what are you thinking about the Jets draft? Where do you stand?
I don't hate, dislike, or feel neutral about Brock Bowers. He's a very good football player. But I look at that as more of a want than a need. I feel that we need to build the trenches because, look, I love Tyron Smith. He's a future Hall of Famer. I like John Simpson. I think he has yet to grow as a player. I love Morgan Moses. He's a solid football player. I love Joe Tippmann. I love Elijah Vera Tucker. But we need to continue building through the trenches. And I think what hurt Joe Douglas a lot, especially a lot of his Jet fans last year, was that he failed to build up the offensive line, more so through free agency than in the draft. I do not dislike Max Mitchell nor Carter Warren, but they're still young and developing players. And Joe Tippmann, look, what Joe Tippmann was able to do for us last year's rookie at both guard and at center was incredible. Yeah, he missed a few games, but shit happens. But he played very well for us at both guard and at center.
Mm-hmm.
And Connor McGovern, believe it or not, was probably having his best season with us last year before he got hurt.
Yeah, look, he's a veteran guy. He knows he really learned the system inside out. He is it's interesting that we haven't re-signed him.
I think we should for depth purposes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's been relatively healthy his entire career, especially with Denver. And there's a lot of pieces we can go. I know a lot of Jet fans want Tyler Boyd. I think he's a good player. But I think he's going to be more of I think we should cut Lazard. That guy has been, excuse my profanity, a fucking disgrace.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're kind of stuck in with the money with him, and I
know that, but it's to me, you're telling me that this guy can only be a productive wide receiver with Aaron Rodgers and nobody else? That's not a good football player.
That's true. Look, I think all of us have a lot of regret, in our bums that they signed him. I think that they did it for the wrong reasons. I think that I wish that Denver would have won that battle with us and that he would have been a Bronco. That would have been a lot better. But I do think we're stuck with him because cutting him is actually hurts the cap more. I think.
Really,
Yeah.
I didn't know
Yeah.
about that. There's
Yeah,
a
well,
lot of things with the cap I don't know about.
yeah, we have
Oh.
a lot of guaranteed money in his contract, so we would have to suck it all up rather than just his salary. I think even Salah let it slip. I think they're thinking like just by him saying we're with him for at least another year and a half was pretty much saying we owe him a certain amount of money. As soon as we're off the books with the money, he's definitely we could probably assume he's gone unless he has a bounce back year. Like you
Which
never
is
know.
better
Yeah.
if he wants to be alive in New York City.
Yeah. I mean, for all we know, he could have a bounce back year because if it's true and he's only good with Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers stays healthy and then Lazard.
That's another big key. I was talking about that with a very nice Bills fan who grew up in Buffalo at my local Taco Bell. And he was like, he said this could be our year. If we stay healthy, so we got to stay healthy. We got to we still got to build the offensive line. And plus, I said to him, it pisses me off that Breece Hall did not get a single consideration for comeback player of the year. I think that's bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah.
The guy comes back from a torn ACL, racks up over 1,580 all-purpose yards with a crappy offensive line, with an offensive coordinator who didn't know jack shit about him.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy was incredible. The guy was incredible for us this guy was a great player in college, played along with Brock Purdy, who I think is a very good quarterback in the NFL. And, and in his rookie year, I think people felt early on in the season in 2022, people felt he was running away with Offensive Rookie of the Year. Then, of course, he tears his ACL and MCL against the Denver Broncos, and the rest was history. But I'll never forget that Buffalo game where first play of the game for the Jets, 26-yard run. Then a couple possessions later, 83-yard run, which I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of a little salty that Garrett Wilson didn't continue blocking. He's like, go Breeze. I'm like, Garrett, block the motherfucker. Let him do his thing. I was watching the game like, go Breeze. I'm like, Garrett, you idiot. What are you doing? But of course, he made it up with that great touchdown catch. Oh my God. I was watching, my dad was in the computer room, and I'm like, Dad, you just missed one of the greatest catches of your life.
Look, I think when it comes to the Breece Hall and the awards, the personal awards, I think if there's one personal award he's going to want, it's going to be, well, I mean, that's the team, right? So, I mean, he loves Super Bowl MVP, I'm sure. But I think the personal one he'd want is he wants the rushing type crown. Like, I think he'd love to lead the league in rushing and get that crown. I think every running back, aspires to that. But I think the biggest thing he wants and the only thing he cares about at the end of the day more than anything is that Super Bowl ring. Right.
And I like the fact how Christian McCaffrey praised him at the Super Bowl press conference where he said, I think Breece Hall's a very good football player. And Christian McCaffrey's no scrub either. I mean, he's one of the best running backs in the game and one of the most complete running backs in the game.
Absolutely. He's great. And if Breece Hall keeps developing as a pass receiving threat the way he is, and I'm not talking about just pass receiving threat, because obviously if you get him the ball in space, he's dangerous. But in his ability to line up in the slot or come out of the backfield and run routes like a real receiver, if he continues to develop in that, because he had such a jump from year one to year two, and what we saw, what we viewed and witnessed, he definitely could be McCaffrey, except I think he's a much better running back, like off tackle running back than McCaffrey.
Well, he is bigger than McCaffrey. I mean, in terms of like he's thicker. If that's the proper term to use, thicker than McCaffrey.
Yeah. Oh, he's thicker. Yeah, the legs, and that's what you look for. You look at Henry. You look at the great running backs. Their thighs are massive.
Like Earl Campbell.
Yeah, and that's Breece Hall right now. Like if you look at him, he's filling out that way. He looks like he was born to do this.
You know who was also really good? I think a lot of people forgot how good he was. Maurice Jones-Drew.
Well, he was a great running back.
And he's not a bad analyst either.
Yeah.
At least in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah. No, he's pretty good. There's ones I can't stand. He's not one of them. He's not on my shit list.
Who's on your shit list? Like Skip Bayless? He's definitely on my shit list.
Also, what's his name? Tony Romo.
You don't like him?
I mean, I like him as a person, but it's hard to listen to him. It's hard to listen to him call a game. Aikman too. I think they're so biased. I just can't stand biased.
I like Aikman and Joe Buck, but I watch the Manning cast more because I grew up loving Peyton and Eli growing up as a kid,
Yeah.
watching them play football. I can't stand Colin Cowherd. I don't know how the hell he has a job. He had the audacity to insult his Jet fans when they hired Adam Gase. Gase is a great coach. He's Kyle Shanahan before Kyle Shanahan. Shut the fuck up. You don't know.
Yeah, I mean, look, I grew up on Pat Summerall and John Madden.
Oh, my dad loved them.
And
I love John Madden.
There's never
Fortunately,
been
the last game he ever broadcast was Super Bowl 43, which was a great game in my opinion.
there's never been another combination like them. And it's like, for me, it's always feels like substitutes because the two of them were that good.
Well, Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth were pretty good for so many years.
Yeah. I like him. Al Michaels, great. Chris Collinsworth, I like.
Jim Nantz, pretty good.
Jim Nantz is good. I hope, what's his name? The Jet fan, the guy that's growing up.
Ian Eagle. I love him.
Yeah.
Does he still broadcast Nets games on Yes Network?
I don't know, but I love him. I love Rich Eisen.
Rich Eisen's really good too. Rich Eisen, he's one of the most charismatic and passionate Jet fans. His wife's a Patriot fan.
Oh, I didn't know that.
His wife's a Patriots fan, yeah. But he's a good guy, Rich Eisen. I've always liked him. And what pissed me off, remember back in the day on FN Network, whenever they did the highlights, they would talk over it? They don't do that no more. Like they would break down the highlights and they would give their own commentary and stuff. They don't do that no more.
Yeah, I hate when they change things that we like. Like what happened? It used to be so great when they would do things like that. What I miss is, like John Madden, man, he was so good. He used to stop, redo the play, and he used to do his chalkboard and write on the screen when that was impressive technology, before anybody else did it. And he would draw out the play to help you understand the play and what happened and why it worked. And I think a lot of what I learned about football came from John Madden. He actually taught me about football. As far as
John Madden was also a Hall of Fame coach.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he was. They had to pull him off. He was too emotional. So to keep him alive, they had to pull him off the sideline because they said he would have had a heart attack.
Coaching is a very emotional job.
Yeah, exactly.
But you know what? One of my favorite John Madden moments when he would show off the turducken. Ever since then, I've had a burning desire to try a turducken.
Yeah. I mean, it's people actually do it. I thought it was a joke in the beginning. It was like, to me, it was a joke.
I thought it was a joke too.
Yeah, but then all of a sudden, they would have them on air. They the players would start fighting over it and ripping off pieces. It's like, holy shit, they really did it. Let's see, we got a super chat coming in from Dino. Let's see what this guy wants. Man, this might be your best co-host ever. Thank you, Dane.
Thank you, Dano. Appreciate
that compliment. So you said offensive line. I nothing wrong with that take. I think that, I don't think that our new left tackle has played a full season since 2015.
But he's one of the all-time greats, so he gets a big pass on that.
Right.
So, and also, he's never missed a playoff game, which is even better. Excuse me.
Yeah. So, but it does mean that we need depth, though. So, picking an offensive lineman for that reason, just that alone, just when you look at the fact that he hasn't played a full season, is a good reason why we should take an offensive lineman early in the draft, right?
Exactly. And I would also even try to get some offensive linemen in the later rounds too. I'm not saying all our draft picks should be offensive linemen because that's ridiculous, but we need more depth. Like, I wouldn't mind re-signing Connor McGovern because he's a good player. He was a good guy in the clubhouse. Plus, he got a nice little mustache.
Yeah, that's true. I've got another super chat from Big Fellas. He goes, what's the price?
He still wants the damn chicken. Everyone's so obsessed with the damn chicken soup, man. Get a life. There's more to life than chicken soup. I love my mom's chicken soup, but my mother, Jake Asman one time wanted me to tell my mom to make chicken soup so the Jets can sign Jadeveon Clowney. I told my mom, and you know what she said? She said, in your dreams.
Oh, my God.
My mother's not into sports.
So she's not cooking chicken soup for sports.
No, I mean she loves me, she loves my father, but she's like, they make their millions. Like that's my mother's mentality. Like, she would rather watch football than baseball. Don't ask me why. But then here's the funny thing: she wouldn't know what the hell's going on. She's like, what's a first down mean? What's a second down mean? What's a third down? Like, she wouldn't know what the hell's going on, but she finds it more entertaining and epic than baseball.
Got it. Got it. I look, I didn't know about the chicken soup. I assume it's very good.
It is. I have been a fan of my mom since I was a kid. I like Campbell's. I like Lipton. I even like some of the restaurants. Like, I even love matzo ball soup, but my mother doesn't make that.
I love matzo ball soup. You get that at Second Avenue Deli. Second Avenue Deli. That's where you can get that matzo ball soup. But, making matzo balls is not that hard, actually. If you go, go and look, and, there's a whole recipe on the box for the matzo meal. And then one day trick your mom, have her make you the chicken soup. You make the matzo balls, cook them in the chicken soup, and there you go. Be the best matzo ball soup in the world.
Yeah. Now, I know this was a while ago, but I think one analyst, I think it was Boomtown 89ers, huge shout out to him. He's one of my subscribers. He says, could be a great teaching moment, Charles. You teach her how football works, and she teaches you the recipe. It's so. I love you, Boomtown. I love you, man. I tell her 3 feet equals a yard, 36 inches equals a yard. Like, a first down, second down, or third down is like a series, like a chance. Mm-hmm. You got 3 chances to make a first down. If not, you got a punt. Or if you want to be ballsy and go for it, be my guest. But, or Dano, get a load of this. Or have a fantastic opportunity to make your mom famous. Have her co-host the Jake Asman Show. My mother doesn't know Jake Asman. My mother doesn't know how these streaming services work. My mother thinks subscriptions cost money. I'm like, YouTube subscriptions are for free. You click subscribe, you don't have to pay for it. Unless you're a YouTube membership, which is a different story. I have only 36 goddamn subscribers. I need over 400 to even consider getting YouTube memberships.
Guys, subscribe to his channel. Charles, thanks for being on. We got somebody else waiting. I hope to have you on again soon. Okay, buddy?
No problem, sir. Have a good day.
You too, man. And now we move on to one of the new followers of the channel, I think, or a new chatter, because I haven't noticed him from the past. Now he's calling in. It looks like he has something very tasty in his hands. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike the Stat Guy. What's up, man?
Sorry. What's going on, guys? Can you hear me?
We hear you loud and clear. Looking good.
Awesome. Yeah. So great segment there with Charles. Hope you don't mind. I'm drinking a little Yoo-hoo there, but
I like
let's get into it.
That's the Yoo-hoo I can actually get. That they have out here.
Yeah.
In Sacramento.
To be honest, I think the cans are a little bit better, but the juice boxes are just as good.
One of the challenges I used to give myself with the cans is shaking it the way they tell you to, and then opening it up without it shooting up into the rim of the can.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. It's like there's a science to it, there's a science. So
yeah, you got to release real slow and a little bit of pressure.
For sure. Yeah.
So what's going on, man? Where do you stand on the draft?
All right. So I've been a pretty big basher of Joe Douglas for about a year now. But to be honest, I really do owe him an apology because, he's really done a fantastic job with filling those 3 holes that we had on the offensive line. At left tackle, obviously Mekhi Becton didn't work out. We were able to make a move for Tyron Smith, which is fantastic. Before that, we were able to make a move for Simpson from the Ravens, who he might not be the greatest offensive lineman, not the greatest guard, but we don't need 5 fantastic offensive linemen on this team. To have a top line, you really only need like 3 stellar offensive linemen. So if he can come in and kind of be like a middle of the pack kind of guy and kind of just hold his own, I think that's solid for Simpson at that left guard spot. Then of course we have Tippmann there, who did really well last year as a rookie at center, and then we have at the right guard spot obviously Elijah Vera Tucker, and then Joe Douglas, going back to JD, he was able to bring in Morgan Moses, which we had before. Obviously he amended for his mistakes there, brought him back in. So he was able to knock out those 3 big major holes that we had on this roster. And I know I can only speak for myself, but I'm pretty sure a lot of other Jets fans during the first couple of days of free agency were freaking out. Like, man, everyone, all these big offensive linemen are flying off the board here in terms of free agency, and Joe D is like sleeping, Sleepy Joe. But he was able to wake up a little bit and get things going. And now going back to your question about the draft, it opens it up for us to be able to be very flexible. Now, me personally, I am not team trade down. I'd rather us either stay pat, because I really do believe that a couple of our needs are going to be there at 10, like a Rome Odunze possibly being there, or like a Olu Fashanu, which I comped him out to be someone like a DeBergershaw Ferguson type player. And I know we have Tyron Smith there, but again, Tyron Smith hasn't started all 17 games in how many years? Like he's averaged, I think, 13 games a year over the past, since like 2015 or something like that. So by bringing in either a Fashanu or maybe like a Bakhtiari during the summertime, I think that would be stellar. Or if like a Roma Dunze is there at 10, I think we should really jump on that. Or better yet, let's say Neighbors somehow magically makes it to 7 or 8, and we can move up with either the Titans or the Falcons for, let's say, a mid-round pick. I think that would be great as well. But I think we're really in really good shape in terms of the draft here. We really don't have many holes on this team. I think this is probably a top 5 roster in the NFL. So I don't really see many weaknesses in terms of the draft, but there are so many guys that we can take in the mid rounds that could either be starters this year, or because of how stacked our team is now, especially on defense, we can have guys, the young guys sit for a little bit, kind of groom them in that way next year. Again, when we have 3 more holes on the offensive line, because a lot of these guys only have 1-year deals, maybe we can train them up and be able to start next year. Or let's say like we draft a young wide receiver or a safety on the defense and be able to kind of groom them to start next year. So I think we're really, really set up for success here. I just am really not I'm really not with the trading down. I know we don't have a 2nd round pick, but I do think that we should stay either stay pat at 10 or move up a couple of spots to be able to get our guy. Because if Garrett goes down, we're kind of screwed there in that regard.
Yeah, I would say I agree with that. That would probably be the worst loss we could suffer on the team. Whereas as bad as like definitely top 5. I mean, like if you were to name the key players, like it's Aaron Rodgers, it's Garrett Wilson, it's Quinnen Williams probably on the defense. I think he's the most important player we have. And I mean, obviously Breece Hall, but like, yeah, I mean, Lazard becomes the number 2 receiver, and Mike Williams, who's coming off an ACL, is now our number 1, and he's not a number 1 receiver. He's a number 2 receiver. So you're right. It's like a non-replaceable player. But if you draft a guy like Odunze, maybe that gives you even if Odunze is only at a level wide receiver 2, okay, we'll have 2 wide receiver 2s in Mike Williams and Odunze, and that could be fine.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And when it comes to the whole wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 situation, we're in 2024 now, so 2 and 3 wide receivers are on the field pretty much 90% of the time, if not more, in most packages. So you really do need 2 number 1, 1A and 1B receivers, or if you want to go ahead and just say the traditional number 1, number 2, we can go with that. But what we can't do is we can't rely on Mike Williams, even though he's has fantastic size. Obviously, he can really go after the ball and have those contested catches. But the thing is that I read a report saying that he might not even be able to be ready to go until the summer, like training camp, and maybe even not ready to play until week 1. So we've already saw this movie before. Let's say best case scenario, he's healthy and he comes back and he can really contribute. But I would rather have another weapon that we can implement for Aaron Rodgers, be set up for success, bring that number 32 offense that we had last year and bring it up to a top 10 offense this year. And then, we have I believe we have the number 1 defense in the NFL. But Wild Wave, I couldn't agree more with this. If Harrison or Neighbors is there, and what do you think, Jeremy? If Harrison and Neighbors is there at, let's say, 5 or 6, would you make the call and move up to the Chargers? I don't know if the Giants are going to trade with us, but let's say the Chargers want to move out of 5 and move back to 10, but at the same time maybe they can get a small haul. What do you think about that?
I'm not going to complain. I mean, it's going to hurt. It's going to be a punch in the stomach when they tell me what we gave up. There's no question about it. But at the end of the day, if we traded up and took Neighbors, I mean, there's no way I could not feel good about that, in the sense that, holy cow, Garrett Wilson, Neighbors lined up on opposite sides, like Aaron Rodgers with a real offensive line, Breece Hall in the backfield with the number 1 defense in the NFL. It's sounding like a Super Bowl team to me.
Oh,
like
for
I
sure,
really is. On paper, I don't know what the argument is. Like healthy, we all know that word, but I think that's true for any team, but especially for us. Healthy on paper, who can argue that that's not a Super Bowl contending team?
Nobody can.
Yeah,
but I think that we're set up for success, man. I really do. And every single year I say the same thing. My buddies, always harp on me for saying like, oh yeah, this year's gonna be our year and stuff. And I was at the game, by the way, when Rodgers went down. Like, me and my friend looked at each other, we're like, yeah, like, here we go. As soon as he like plopped back down and like, did a little stretching out, we were like, yeah, this guy's done already. We were so pissed. But I think that we can really be set up for success, like you were saying. If we add that extra piece to the puzzle there, especially on as at the wide receiver position, then on paper we are one of the best teams in the NFL. Like, nobody can even argue that. No one can argue that these are like the same old Jets, right? Like, on paper we should be able to win many football games. And by the way, we lost 4 games this past year by 5 points or less. So let's say we had a backup quarterback. If we had Tyrod Taylor on this team last year, and let's say he stayed healthy, there's no way we would have less than 10 wins. So with a healthy Aaron Rodgers and with a line that can keep him upright, and being able to have Garrett Wilson and let's say a Malik Neighbors, who is a Garrett Wilson clone, only stronger. What's better than having a Garrett Wilson? Well, having 2 Garrett Wilsons. So that would be amazing to have that type of firepower on your team. So.
Yeah, I mean, two guys that get off the line fast, 2 guys that are insanely skilled route runners, and explosive, dangerous, with Aaron Rodgers, with a guy with a brain that processes super fast and is able to see and see the field and know where to throw the ball. And it's already going to be crazy just watching with Garrett Wilson. We know all the times Garrett Wilson was running by himself open, but we just couldn't. We didn't have a quarterback who could get him the ball. So that was why Garrett Wilson was throwing his hands up every play, because he's frustrated because he's wide open. He's like, just throw me the ball. I can score every time. It's going to be really interesting. How do you feel about, like, what would your reaction be if we don't make any trades? Jets come up to the podium at 10 and they take Brock Bowers. What's your reaction?
All right, so I am team. Stay away from Bowers. And here's why. I understand why a lot of, fans love this kid. Him being one, like the generational talent, that term gets thrown around so much. But the thing is that I think that the tight end position is kind of going away in the NFL. And of course, there's always going to be a tight end, right? But the problem is, it's now more so either you're a blocking tight end or a receiving tight end. And Bowers is not even close to a blocking tight end. He's undersized. He's about 6'3", right? Which I think the typical tight end is like 6'4.5", 6'5"-ish. And he's about 230 pounds, I think. So he's going to be a receiving type, and he's great at contested catches. But the big problem here is that, let's say his ceiling is 700 yards, right? I think the most yards he's ever had at Georgia, I think, was like 793, something around there. So let's say his ceiling is 700 yards year 1. Well, if you have Malik Neighbors or Rome Odunze, their ceiling is higher than that, in my opinion. I think their ceiling, they can easily hit 1,000 yards in their first year with Aaron Rodgers. And then, of course, Garrett Wilson, we're hoping for 1,200 plus, maybe even 13, 14, 1,500 yards, right? We can be in a situation here where we have like a Brandon Marshall, Eric Decker type type receiving room where you got your Batman and Robin, and you're able to have Garrett Wilson out there, and then that are Odunze or Neighbors, or somehow if there was a miracle that we got MHJ, that'd be even better. But the whole Brock Bowers thing, I really disagree drafting him. If we traded down and he was there at like pick 15, 16, 20, something like that, I wouldn't be, crying about it. But at 10, I really think we should stay away from the whole Bowers hype. I really do think that the positional value there is either wide receiver or offensive line. But, that's just my personal take on it. I really don't think that we should be going after a tight end there.
Well, I got to be honest with you. For Marvin Harrison, if we traded down for Marvin Harrison, or if we traded up,
yep.
Honest to God, if they have an opportunity to get Marvin Harrison by trading up, I don't care if they trade every pick in the draft that we have after it. Like, we could walk away with Marvin Harrison and no picks, and walk away from this draft with just Marvin Harrison, and to me, that's a victory. Like, to me, that's a victory. That's how good I think he is.
Yeah, man.
That's how elite I think he is. He's probably by his third game, once he gets once he gets grounded, very good possibility. And people are going to think I'm nuts for saying this, but I believe it. There's a good possibility he's WR1 by week 3.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I'm not taking anything away from Garrett Wilson. I am saying that Marvin Harrison is that good.
And that would be a good problem to have, him being that good and him coming in and being like the number 1 by week 3, like that would be a fantastic problem to have, as Garrett being the number 2. And I don't think Garrett would be, too upset about it, especially if Aaron Rodgers is still throwing the ball. Like he's going to get yards. If Aaron Rodgers is playing and he's healthy, everybody's going to eat. Like, there's no question about it. It's not like you have some crappy quarterback that you're forcing the ball to just one guy, right? Garrett's going to be being fed the ball. Marvin Harrison Jr. or whoever else, whoever we take, they're going to be getting the ball. We're going to get some Breece Hall action, and thank God Nathaniel Hackett woke up after week 10 and found out that Breece Hall can actually catch the football, even though us fans have been saying that since he's been drafted. But yeah, I mean, everybody's going to be eating. Everybody's going to be able to get the ball. And speaking of eating, I watched a show, I think it was yesterday, a couple days ago, about Zeke Elliott. Maybe we can get him in here and kind of help out a little bit in the running back room on the cheap. But we'll see. But yeah, I think MHJ, if he somehow makes it to 5 and the Chargers want to trade down, I would give up a either like a first round pick next year, or like you said, all of our picks in this year's draft, you can have them. Like at this point, if we can get MHJ, you can have all of our picks.
Yeah. Oh, in a second. It's not even a thought. Right. And it's like, can you imagine Garrett Wilson being covered? When you say, would he like it? Being covered by the second best cornerback on each team instead of the CB1. What would Garrett Wilson do? Look at the opportunities it would open up to him. How many plays would Marvin Harrison just be the decoy because he's taken up CB1, and now you just have Garrett Wilson in a mismatch, just owning some CB2 on some team, some poor guy that's lined up.
Yeah, right, just bullying him. Yeah, man.
Remember, Breece Hall's going to keep those safeties in the box. If they try to double team and keep the safeties out of the box,
then
Breece Hall's just going to go.
Oh, he's going off. Yeah. Yeah, man. I think if we add another playmaker there, or even if we don't, let's say Mike Williams is healthy, and we draft like a Brock Bowers or something, and I think, yeah, like you're right. It's kind of like a pick your poison. Oh, you want to double up on Garrett? Okay, well now we're going to hit you with Odunze or a Bowers or Mike Williams, or if you want to double up on both of them and you're not bringing that safety up, well, guess what? Breece Hall is going to be running all over the yard. So, I think no matter what, I think we're set up for success here. I think Joe Dees did a pretty good job. And I had one question. I know I'm taking up a ton of your time, but I had another question for you in regards to our defense. And I know this whole offseason has only been about offense pretty much for the most part. But the one thing that really frustrated me last year was that Sauce was not following the number 1 receiver on the opposing team. So do you think that this year Salah's going to say, all right, you know what, we have to change things up here a little bit. We're going to keep the scheme the same for the most part, but Sauce is going to follow the number one receiver on the other team. Do you think that's going to happen or no?
Well, now you're talking like me and Green Bean. We scream and cry about it every game. That's all we talk about during the games. We're like screaming, why can't we just use them man on man against their WR1, keep the rest of the scheme the same? Do I want to do that? Yes. Do I agree with you 100%? Yes. Do I think they're going to do it? No. Because they're the most stubborn coaching staff I've ever seen in my life. It's like, he is so stubborn to this scheme. He's so stubborn.
They are. The thing is like, as a player, because if you look at the elite guys, right? If you look at the the Champ Baileys of the world, the Darrelle Revises of the world, right? It's not only that they were the best because they were competing against other players, right? They were competing against themselves. So I feel like Sauce Gardner, obviously he plays for the Jets. Revis played for the Jets. So I feel like Sauce is going to be one of those guys that are going to be vouching like, hey, let me shadow the number one. Let me take him out of the game. Even if Salah comes in week 1 and says, no, that's not what we're going to do. I think eventually Sauce is going to say, listen, I want to build a name, continue building a name for myself and earn that spot, in terms of that, Jets legend. Right. So I do think that he's going to want to and push for and vouch for following the other, the opposing team's number one receiver. So that's just my personal opinion. I don't like you said, and I agree with you that I don't think they're going to do it, but I think week in and week out, each week that goes by, I feel like Sauce is going to be itching to follow that number one and just take him out of the game, whoever it is.
Oh, he wants to so bad.
Right.
He wants to so bad. You could see how mad he is when he has to play back in the zone and somebody gets an inside catch. When he tackles them, he walks away angry.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
He's thinking to himself, I could have stopped that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he's thinking. He wants to press. He wants to be on the line. He doesn't want to give up a yard. And I think he does get frustrated. And because he knows he could. He's like, why are you not letting me shut this guy down? It's like he doesn't have to get any yards. But they are very no big play oriented. Like that's a big part of their philosophy is no big plays. And I guess they think, even if it's Sauce, once you step up and you press, there's a risk of the big play.
For sure, yeah.
So
yeah, thanks for taking my call. I know I took up a ton of your time, but
thanks. No problem, man. No problem. I'm glad that you came on. Appreciate you being on the show. I appreciate you watching and supporting the show.
Absolutely. All right, thank you.
All right, take care, buddy.
Yep.
Mike the Stat Guy, everybody. So some really good points there. Some like-minded Jet fan. I like that. When people are like-minded, he sees it the way I see it. And it's I think, a common sense, logical way to see it. And so far, I like that we've talked about the possibility of and the benefits and the pros of drafting another weapon, being aggressive to make sure we get a good receiver. We talked about the pros of drafting an offensive lineman and why that could be a sensible, smart move. So I like that. That's the healthy way to talk about this. We don't have to be really anti the other, side of the story. Like we could just look at the positives of whichever way we go. And I think that there's a lot of arguments and a lot of evidence that if we do pick an offensive lineman or if we pick a receiver at 10, there's a lot to be happy about. And there's also a part to be a little bit, glim about. Because the truth is, we right now are very thin in both positions. And I'm not worried about the interior offensive line because I feel like there's a lot of interior offensive linemen throughout the draft. So that's not as much of a concern to me because we have the flexibility and the versatility to take the best center. So even if the best guards are gone, if you get a guy like Boo Lemieux, or Lemieux, I think his name is, or if you get Zach Zinter or whatever, there's a bunch of guys that it wouldn't be a bad thing. Wouldn't be a bad thing at all because it's very easy for Joe Tippmann to move out to guard if you end up taking the best center. So as long as you get a center that you can plug and play, as long as you get a center if they have to come and play that they can, we're fine there. That's the depth that we need. I think if you add McGovern, now you're even deeper, and he could play either guard position as well. And suddenly I think our interior offensive line is as strong as any in the league. Like, I'm totally happy with it. We might not have a superstar in Simpson, but the depth would be unreal. We'd have AVT and Simpson, and then we'd have a experienced McGovern and some kid that we drafted that's ready to come in and play. I would have no worries and no concerns about the interior of our offensive line. And then the question is just the outside of the offensive line if we go receiver. If we did take it to Dunze, then we have to think, what if our offensive lineman goes down? Can we trust Carter Warren? Will it be Max Mitchell? Are we going to go out and get Bacatieri? Now, I had somebody in the waiting room to come in, but he left. And I think he left because I couldn't really see him. So maybe that's why he left. Maybe he's fixing his lighting or something. But I did see you. And if you want to come into the show, I did see you. I just wasn't ready to bring you on just that moment. So try again. Oh, I like how nice you guys are being a Mike the Stat guy. Thank you. Yeah, that's right. Give him some love. Give him some love. That's right. Give him some love, guys. Give him some love. Appreciate that. It's good stuff. But I'm gonna end up having competition. I remember I'm the talent discover guy. And that people come on here. I mean, Johnny is already at the point where he's gonna, Johnny Jimenez is already in big demand. Johnny Jimenez got people like Jake Asman and Buffalo Jet fan and Boy Green and Matt O'Leary chasing him down. They all want a piece of him. They want this guy to be like their guy in Virginia, like their Virginia-based guy to compete with Greenbean. Like every time Greenbean's on, they want to throw this guy on their channel and say, "We got our own Virginia guy. His name is Johnny Jimenez, and he knows the Jets." But you didn't take up too much time, man. I don't have a time limit. I didn't have anybody waiting, so no, you didn't take up too much time. It's a call-in show. When someone's waiting in the back, I will, I'll tell you, hey, it's time for you to go. But like in that situation, you did me a favor. You gave me, 10, 15 minutes of good content. So I appreciate it. I have no problem with people staying in, just as long as when somebody else is waiting and comes in, that's when I move on and I go to the next guy. And then you could come back later if you got cut short because people were waiting. I just hate to have people waiting a long time. I get nervous for them. I feel bad. Johnny Jimenez, I kept him waiting 1 minute and he left angry. What am I supposed to do with that? I mean, I just wanted to finish my thought. The guy ran away. But I think it was because he doesn't have good lighting or something. I think he was like, "Oh, my hair doesn't look good." And he's like, he's going right now. He has one of his little kids holding up a mirror and he's fixing his hair, putting some of that grease in to get it to that like castor oil to get the hair perfect. Mike, you and Gunny started back up the show with that Dolphins fan. Huh? Is there a show with a Dolphins fan? Chaos, don't even force them off then. People can wait backstage. It's nice to have time to get comfortable after the tech part is ready. Okay. Yeah, but he left. Like Johnny just ran away. I didn't force him off. Like all I did was wait like a minute and the guy gave up and left. I mean, it may have been that he's having technology problems. Who knows? Maybe it's his connection or something, Maybe Johnny went off on PJ. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Oh, shoot. Am I competing with them? No, they were on before, weren't they? I thought they went on before. Oh, I know what happened. Wait a second, but I'm in California. No, so that means it's 9 o'clock there. They're not on. Let me see something. They're not live right now. Are they? I don't know. Whatever. I've been bouncing back and forth. Who's on? How can he be on? I thought he was on at 3 o'clock. That's 6 o'clock. No, 3 o'clock. That's like 12 o'clock my time. It's 6 p.m. right now. So what are you talking about? He's live right now? Oh, well, I can't help that. I don't know what to tell you. I thought he was on. I thought he was going to be on with what guest was he going to have? I thought he was doing a show with like Jake Asman or something. I thought he had some big guest, and they were going to be on together at he said 3:00 on Saturday. So I don't know what to say. BJF Gunny, Tico, Nick. Well, Nick is Nick is a trader. He's a user. I'm just kidding. Yeah, he's a user, all right. No, but yeah, they could do what they want. I had no idea they were on. I usually don't go on at the same time as other people, but I don't care. I appreciate those who stay with me. Hush, Chaos, you're good. This is a call-in show, not the same thing. That's right. We're not competing. It's a different thing. They're doing some show together, and I'm running a call-in show. And I've got 60 people here thanks to Twitter. So there's enough people for everyone. But I had no idea. I didn't. But I honest to God, I thought he was doing a show. I'm trying to. Oh, that's Saturday. Today is Friday. Oh. That's my own made-up language. Anyway, if anybody else wants to call in, you can call in now. Johnny abandoned the show. I'd love for Daniel Murphy to show. Daniel Murphy is one of those listeners of the show where it shocks me because he's too cool for this show. Like he's too cool. He's this guy. He's a man's man. Why is he listening to a quack like me? I don't know, but he watches. He supports. Maybe he likes the way I used to say it. Murphy, Frank Murphy, Charlie Murphy. I used to do that whenever I'd see his name because I'd think about that skit from that show. You know, Chappelle Show. Charlie Murphy. So I used to scream that every time I saw Daniel. I'd be like, Daniel Murphy, security. Yeah, I used to do that whole thing. But you'd call in, then why don't you? I'd call in, but Johnny will call in right after me and force me off stage. So I'm away. No, I won't then. Screw that. If you come on, you can stay as long as you want. Besides, I let you and Johnny on at the same time, remember? I consider you both like, half brains, half wits. So it's like you share the same brain. So like having you both on is like having one guest. Oh, he doesn't have his AirPods. Daniel Murphy. Oh, thanks, man. But you are a cool dude. So, cool dude. Definitely a cool dude. Yeah, we'll wait. Maybe Dano will come in. Somebody want to beat Dano to the punch? Just hit the link. Come on in and talk Jets if you want, or ask questions in the chat, and I'll get to them that way. However you guys want to do it. I'm happy to answer questions and give you my takes. Keep up the good work. Long live the McRib. Thank you, Small Heath Court Chester. I appreciate your contributions to the show, and believe me, while the McRib might not be available at the moment, your contribution to this channel will, in some indirect way, end up leading to me eating McDonald's. So I appreciate the super chat. You're the best. Thanks. Keep supporting the channel. I appreciate it, and hopefully I entertain you. So that is that. We do have... Oh, look at that. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce the defender of the Temecula Valley, the warrior and guard that brings honor and glory to all those who live in the area of Temecula. My friend, Sean McAteer.
Hey guys, just want to say what's up to everybody. I'm actually going to a concert. I'm with my family right now. We're going to see Tyler Childers country western concert. It's some blue collar stuff, but one of the ones I've wanted to see for a long time. But I couldn't miss Jeremy's stream. I wanted to just come in and say hi to everybody. Say hi to you, Jeremy. Always good to see you, brother. And I hope you guys have a good night. That's pretty much all I had to say. I'm not really giving content on my picks or any of that stuff tonight. I just wanted to say hi and Keep it simple.
Showing you the best. We love you, and have an amazing time tonight, man. Enjoy the show.
Thanks, brother. Love you too. Talk to you guys later.
Take care, bro. Now let's bring him on right away because he gets very testy if you don't. He might run away. Dude, I can't see you. I see two lights. What's going on?
I'm walking my dog.
Oh, he's walking his dog. So it's Johnny, everybody. Let me get the hat that Johnny got me. Okay. Johnny sent me this beautiful hat. The culture of his people. So he decided to send this to me. I appreciate it.
It looks really good on you, actually.
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you.
You know what it's gonna do, right? It's gonna block all the haters, bro.
Nobody can hate on me when I'm wearing this hat, right?
Exactly. Hey, man, that Matt the Stat Guy dude was really good, man. Super refreshing to hear somebody else and their take and everything. And you know, I mean, you know me, man. I break balls when it comes to the whole stuff with the Bauer stuff and everything. Even though I love Bowers, right? I know that I'd rather a bigger weapon in a Neighbors or a Dunze. You know, I mean, Marvin Harrison, bro, I'm with you. If we could give up the whole thing, why not? Especially
there's no
all
question.
in peace at this point. Why the hell not? Right? Because we don't even know what could happen this season type of stuff. So I don't know, man. I just wanted to come up here kind of like Sean, come show you some love when you get up here and all that.
Oh, I love it, man. Hey,
who you got for tomorrow?
Who do I got for tomorrow? I'm pulling for NC State.
Oh, nah, not that, man. The Super Bowl wrestling, bro.
Oh. I think that they're gonna make them. I think that they're gonna make Seth Rollins and Rhodes lose the tag team match.
So no bloodline. So no bloodline rules on Sunday night.
I think they're gonna make it as hard as possible on make it seem like there's no way that Rhodes could win, and then I think he's gonna win.
I don't know, man. I don't think. I think Roman's gonna break Hulk Hogan's record of holding the belt for that long because he holds the record, and it's Roman Reigns time, bro. I acknowledge him as my tribal chief.
I don't know. I don't know if it's right to let Hogan's record go down to him. I'm sorry, Hogan saved wrestling. He's what made it go beyond just a regional sport. He changed it forever. I don't know if you take that record away from him or not. I'm not sure.
I hear you, man. I hear you, but
they protected Ric Flair. They didn't let Cena do it.
True. Yeah, you're right about that. But I mean, Roman did bring WWE into the billions.
Yeah.
Which has never been done before. So
yeah, look, I've always loved Roman Reigns. I was one of the biggest fans of the Shield ever. So it is what it is. It's just, man, it's hard just because I know, even though it's the show and it's determining what they want to do, at the end of the day, like Dusty Rhodes, before he passed away, like just what this would have meant to that family for him to become the champion at WrestleMania. Like, I already know it means a lot, just the fact that he's headlining WrestleMania. Like, if Dusty Rhodes was alive, oh my God, can you imagine how proud he would be?
I mean, I agree. But I mean, Roman Reigns' bloodline it goes way, 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 way back as well. So that's what I mean, man. It's good for the sport, I could tell you that much.
Yeah, I mean, look, either way, there's something on the line. That's what makes it such a big event. Like, Rhodes winning it would be just ridiculous and insane because of Dusty Rhodes and what he did for the sport. And he was such a beloved figure, and he's done so much for the WWE. Even when he came back as the talent evaluator, so many of the wrestlers today really and honestly and truly thank Dusty Rhodes and saying that they wouldn't have been who they were without him. But at the same time, if Roman wins and then breaks Hogan's record, that's a big deal too, because that's like, it's a big deal. It's a big deal for the family and the bloodline and all those people from his family, you know, that are part of the sport. So to me, there's a lot of a line. It goes beyond the show. Like, I don't care about good guy, bad guy, heel, face. It's like, I care. Like, I'm actually rooting for like the real human beings and the families behind this, because you know it still means a lot to them, even though it's a show.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
You know what I mean? Like, this still means a lot to them. There's still a level of success. When you become a champion, it means you became a star of the show. So it still means something. There's a realness to it in that regard.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I mean, and the Hall of Fame show tonight is going to be pretty dope. Miss Mavia's going in there, which is awesome. The first female manager in WWE history. So it's pretty dope, man. But all right, Broham, I know you can't see me, man. I'm in the, you know how it is out here, man. Bro, there's like barely streetlights.
So is that on SmackDown, the Hall of Fame show? Like,
yeah, it's after SmackDown. I think it's on Peacock though.
Okay, so everything on this Saturday and Sunday is Peacock, though, right?
It's Peacock, yeah, for sure.
Okay, cool. I get Peacock, so I'm good.
You can see me now, I think.
No, we still see black, man.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah.
For real?
Yeah.
Oh. You don't see Thor? Yo, Thor, come here.
I don't.
All right, Broham, do your thing, man. I appreciate you.
We'll see you later, brother.
Yeah, I'm going to McDonald's. You want anything?
2 double cheeseburgers.
All right, got you. Fries or shake?
Vanilla shake.
Got it.
Later, bro.
Later, dude.
Now we see you. Who do we got here? Do we got the Murph man? Here he is. Daniel Murphy, what's going on, brother?
What's up, buddy? I don't know how I sound because I don't have my AirPods, but
you're cool.
Just doing this with the phone, you know. But what's going on?
You're all good, man. We're just chilling, man. It's like this is a weird part of this season when we're getting close to the draft, because it's like we talked so much about it. It's like, but what else are we going to talk about? Like, it's the biggest thing left for us Jet fans, right? I mean,
yeah, I know. If you're anything like me, you're probably getting to the point where you're about drafted out at this point. Like, you're just wanting to get it done with and see who we end up with. But
yeah.
I did have a couple points to bring up.
Okay.
First of all, I'll ask you a question. What exactly is it going to take for you to want to extend? And I'm going to assume that they're hand in hand, JD and Salah. Like, what this year exactly? Like, what is the floor that it'll take?
I think that if they skimp in with like a 10-7 record and lose the wild card game, I think they might get fired, or at least Salah would. JD might not. They might be separated now because JD just had a pretty amazing offseason. But unless the whole team is massacred with injury, and even then, I don't know if it's going to save them. But if they were massacred with injuries and still got into the playoffs, then maybe that saves their job, but maybe not Salah. I think Salah's in more danger than JD after the offseason that JD had. But as long as they win, like if they 10-7 and win a wild card, they're safe. If they go 11, 12, 13 wins and make the playoffs easily, I think they're safe for the second year. I think it's a 2-year everything you got to win a Super Bowl. So as long as they make the playoffs and show the progress and win a playoff game, like, to me, they have to be safe.
What if they go 12 wins, make the playoffs easy, but first round and out?
I still think they're safe.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. And Salah, maybe not.
I'm in line with you. I agree with that.
Maybe not Salah. So, like, in other words, how do they lose the game? If he makes a shit show, like he makes a really stupid call, stupid decision-making, loses control of the team, they give up, like anything weird happens like that, he could still get fired, but not JD. If they win 12 games, how do you fire the first GM to get us 12 wins in how long?
And an offensive and defensive rookie of the year in the same year.
Yeah, like I cannot imagine that they could fire him. But I don't think that JD and Robert Saleh are as attached to the hip as they were.
I see. Now that might be where I see where you're coming from there, but I still kind of feel like they're still kind of hand in hand because it's really hard to grasp the idea of letting your GM hire a second head coach, and that'd be his third head coach that he's worked with. That opportunity don't happen very much. You don't see that in NFL these days. Maybe back in I don't know 70s or something, but you don't see that very often nowadays. But I do agree with you on the floor, and I do agree with you that Salah's seat is hotter than JD's is. Although I think JD was more of the reason why we only won 7 games last year rather than Salah.
I
So
think
it
that
doesn't really make sense as to why it would be, but I do agree.
I think it's true that you're right. Last year was more JD's fault than Salah. I agree with that.
Yeah.
He's the one that didn't have the backup quarterback.
That's the main thing right there. If
Yeah.
there were no other changes that made more of an impact, it would have been that.
Hmm.
Yeah. But Salah's seat is hotter. We're all pining for his ass because we see the Cleveland Browns, do what they did with, but that's just an anomaly, honestly.
Yeah, well, that's the thing that bothers me when people say the whole Cleveland thing. It was a different situation because, in spite of the fact that they lost 2 of their tackles, they had their guards who are very good guards, and they stayed healthy the whole time. So the whole center of their line, the interior of their line, was consistent and solid throughout the whole year. And then the 2 guys that came in replacements at tackles didn't get hurt. They stayed solid as well. Whereas we had 13 different offensive line formations set up over the 17 weeks. So we had no continuity. And not only that, it's just what you said. Cleveland got tons of attention as an outlier. And the reason they did is because it's known that most teams would have fallen apart, that most teams wouldn't have done well.
And that's
So
why
it's like-
Stefanski won Coach of the Year. I mean,
Yeah.
it was well deserved, but
Yeah, exactly. So when someone is like an outlier, it's kind of unfair to compare everybody else to them. It's like, because then you're saying, well, everybody else has to be like the outlier, but then it's not an outlier. Like they did something amazing. They managed to hold off and make the playoffs. It was an amazing thing given their injuries. But I agree. It's like it doesn't make sense to hold or compare the Jets to that because most teams, 90% probably in that situation, the same thing happens to those teams as what happened to the Jets. You lost your starting quarterback. You couldn't keep the same offensive line healthy. You kept losing guys. Most teams would have had that problem and fallen apart.
And so, like, just because we're having fun with the comparisons of it, like if you think about it, like Stefanski was an offensive guy. He's actually a really good offensive mind. He gets a little bit of hate, and I don't understand it. I think the guy always usually has really good game plans. And so if there was a guy to figure out a way to overcome losing your quarterback and losing like a couple offensive linemen and stuff like that, it would be somebody like him that's very well in tune with the offense. But if it were like his defense losing Myles Garrett and what's that, Denzel Ward and like a bunch of their key players, do you think their defense would have played that well? Probably not. But now, if it was Saleh in that position and he loses defensive people, we saw it last year with the Eagles game.
Mm-hmm.
We still shut down Jalen Hurts. So it's the same thing. It's just different sides of the ball. Like, so I know everybody wants their head coach to be this mastermind of the whole team and always have this great game plan no matter what or whatever, but it's not really how it works, man. You come from a background, that's what you specialize in, and that's what you're better at, and you just have to try to hire the right people that can help take care of the other side of the ball. And of course, you can put your input in on it and maybe help out, but that doesn't mean that you're going to always have the perfect game plan on that side of the ball. Like, I just, people, they want the head coach that can do that. I don't see it. Like, you have to hire the right guys when you're the head coach, because if there's a side that you're not that comfortable with, you have to hire guys that you're comfortable with, knowing that they're always going to have the team ready, and
Mhm.
you have to help them execute that. That's really all that is. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just kind of my outlook on that.
No, absolutely. Look, the coordinators the head coaches should be more accountable for the coordinators than they are the performance of either the offense or the defense, because that's their main hire. Like the GM's main hire is the head coach and the guys they draft, specifically the quarterback. But what is the head coach job? The head coach's number one job is to have the right coordinators. You're the leader. The coach is the leader of the team. They're the leader, so they're picking their assistants. You need to have a great defensive coordinator and a great offensive coordinator, and that's on you if you don't. And
Mhm.
the truth is, I don't care. Like when people say that, like, oh, well, Salah's not an offensive mind. Who cares? It's about the offensive coordinator. So if he's in trouble, it's because, but in this case, I don't know if he had a choice. I think the reason we have our offensive coordinator is one reason and one reason only, because they wanted Rodgers. And the truth is what you just said. The Raiders head coach right now, who turned the team around last season, he's not an offensive coordinator. He's not a defensive coordinator. He's a leader that has two coordinators. His job is the culture of the team. Mike Ditka, who won a Super Bowl with the Bears. What happened after 85? Buddy Ryan left. That's what happened.
Yeah.
Mike Ditka was not a coordinator. Mike Ditka was a leader. He was a disciplinarian. He created the locker room culture. So I 100%, I think that it's not even about, like, I don't care if my head coach is offensive minded, defensive minded. I want a head coach that makes sound decisions, that manages the game right, manages a strong locker room, and hires good coordinators that are smart, that put together good game plans. That's what I hold the head coach accountable for.
Yeah, and honestly, I think Saleh does a pretty good job at between him and JD picking the right players and stuff. But like, I think that they are establishing like a good culture. Like, there's not a lot of me guys in our locker room, And I think that Saleh does a pretty good job at keeping the team together, even whenever things are tough. I mean, it did not look like we were going to win 7 games last year. I can tell you that. There was a point in the season where I was like, wow, this is going to be like 4-13 or whatever. Like, it got pretty bad, pretty ugly there for a little bit, but he kept the team together, and they rallied and won a few at the end. And I know people were mad about that. I get it, but at the same time, like, I do like seeing the team playing for each other and playing for their coach and stuff, and that shows, that's a positive thing to me.
Yeah, and that argument will go on forever, right? About we should lose games on purpose. The reality is, in most cases, I'm not saying it never happened, but in the reality probably is that it's incredibly rare for teams to lose games on purpose. I just think it's not in the nature of the sport. That
No, you got to think, these are some of the biggest competitors in the world. Like, they didn't get that good because they were just okay with losing. Like, they don't want to lose anything. If you played a game of checkers against these guys, they're going to get pissed if they start losing. Like that, all the greats are uber competitive, and that's just how it is. They're not going to go into that game expecting to lose. That's just how it goes.
Yeah, and we just have to suck it up. Like, we won those games. We're picking at 10. And we have to just do the best with the 10 pick that we can.
It's not as bad as we thought it was going to be, right?
Definitely not.
Like, at first we were like, oh man, it's, Alton Fashanu, and they're going to go in the top 5. And, and now we're like, whoa, I'm hearing Fashanu's going 20, and I'm hearing, oh, wait a second, this JC Latham guy is pretty good too. This Talisi Fwanga guy is really good too. This Troy Fontenot guy is really good too. Like, it's never as bad as it seems initially when the college season just ends, because like, nobody's really done all the tape work on these guys yet. And then you start realizing, wow, there's more good players than that. Like, it's not as bad as we thought. But
yeah, if you're an offensive line guy for this draft, like if you're leaning offensive line, or somebody that doesn't mind if we go offensive line, you're right. There's nothing wrong with the 10 pick. There's so many teams that want to be in our spot, in the middle of the teams that want to pick offensive line, that we're ahead of.
Absolutely. And the other talking point I wanted to touch on before I give the mic up to somebody else, Mr. maybe Dane will pop in here and stop being a wuss. But so the other thing was kind of draft related. I wanted to ask you, and this is just your personal opinion. I want to kind of hear how you feel about it. How much stock do you take in, like, the character of a prospect compared to the talents when it comes to it? Because there are times where you're faced with a decision. Wow, this player is uber talented and he's like crazy good and he's going to be like he's going to make an impact and this and that, but you're also worried, is this guy going to end up being like a locker room cancer? Is this guy going to hit a pregnant chick when his Corvette going 90 miles an hour? I mean, is this guy, you have to think about those things too, like team distractions and stuff like that. Well, and then also you have to factor in things like leadership and stuff too. You always have to have good leaders in your locker room, guys that'll support each other and guys that'll help keep the team cohesive whenever Robert Saleh is distracted with other things or whatever it may be. Like, so how much stock do you put into that? Like, are you always willing to draft the guy that's high character but maybe not quite as talented as another guy? Or what's your opinion on that?
I think it's really important, and I think that it's one of the very critical criteria. I do believe that, and I know it's frustrating, and a lot of people want to take in the bad apples and say we could change them and we can keep them focused and this and that. I don't. I think you got to be one or the other, because it only takes one bad apple to ruin the tree, and the whole bunch. And I think it's the reason why we take captains, guys who were captains in college and didn't lose that captainship but held on to it, because obviously that means they didn't get in trouble. They weren't bad in the locker room. I think there's a reason we do it. And I think when you see this kind of thing happen to Kansas City, it's like, yeah, Rice, a lot of talent. He's their number one wide receiver, right? He's probably going to miss this year, if not longer. They might even end up cutting him, based on what happened. I mean, if the kid in that car dies, there was a 6-year-old in one of those cars. If that 6-year-old died, he's gone. He's like the Raiders guy. He's in jail for 10 years. He's done. His career's over. So he's literally the only reason he has a chance to play football again and not be in jail is literally because he was just lucky enough that the kid didn't die, that nobody died.
Yeah.
Just luck.
Yeah.
What he did was just as bad as what that Raiders guy did. Just as bad. He just got lucky.
Yeah.
And after the guy in Alabama, after the accident in Alabama where like the 2 people died, and that was like a big question mark.
Jalen Carter.
So that affected the draft and everything, and the people were worried about that. To still make that mistake if you're a football player after seeing everybody knew about that incident, and then he's going to go and he's going to race a car anyway. So to me, it's like if you have a guy that you think is capable of making that kind of decision, there's no way I'm touching him in the draft. I don't care how good he is.
Yeah, and he dropped. He did drop. I mean, because he was talked about top 3 prospect, one of the best defensive tackles we've seen come out of the draft since Quentin Williams or maybe before. And he dropped. I don't remember exactly when he got picked, but it was like what, 9th or I don't know. It was later than what he was expected to, but
yeah, some teams avoided them. I mean, I don't want to be the team that takes those guys. And I'm not even talking about him specifically, because part of me was like, oh, but he's so good, but so I gave into that temptation. But it's a really strong argument of why it makes complete sense to really consider that an important part of the draft process. Like who, the character and the person that you're drafting, because it only takes beating up your wife or domestic abuse. One of those things destroys the whole thing and destroys the whole pick. And how many times do we skip good players because we're worried about injury prone?
Yeah. I mean, who was it that dropped really big to the Chiefs? Trey Smith.
Yeah.
For instance, they were worried about his injury history, and then look, he's one of the better guards in the league now. I mean,
Creed Humphrey.
You never know. Yeah, Creed Humphrey. That's another one. Yeah, the Chiefs really loaded up on that. They capitalized on that big time.
That's why I want to take the guy Zach Zinter.
I agree. I like him a lot, actually, and I'm hoping that he drops to like the 4th round and we can snatch him up and But yeah, so basically I wanted to say, like, I agree with you on that. I actually put a lot of stock into the character of your team, of your guys. And I think JD does too. It seems like he always tends to go for captains and stuff like that a lot. So I'm kind of wondering, and I'm not saying that I think these are the best ideas of people to pick or whatever, but like, I'm not in the rooms. I don't do the interviews. I have no idea what's said or, the character of all these prospects and stuff like that. But just a couple guys that I do know that are high character that I think JD probably will have his eye on is Talisi Fuanga, which, you went to the Senior Bowl and stuff like that. Dom interviewed him and stuff like that. The guy seems like a really stand-up guy. He was a team captain in college and stuff like that. I think that that's somebody that JD's going to like whenever he speaks to him. And then also Roma Dunze. That's a kid that on a farm. He knows the value of hard work. He's seen I guess his grandpa went blind or something like that. So he's had to help him over the years, with the farm and things like that. And it's just, and when you hear the guy talk, like, he's just like really like, he's very like Garrett Wilson. Like, how Garrett is. He's just very like, he's humble, he's grateful, and he wants to, like, he's willing to put in the work to be good no matter what it takes, and I think those are two guys like Roma Dunze and Talise Fuanga. I think those are guys that JD's really gonna like whenever he talks to. So
yeah, no, I wouldn't be surprised at all. I love Fuanga. I mean, he's a freaking warrior. Like, and he's gonna be, yeah, I said that about him. He's more than just a player. He's gonna be a great leader in person on that offensive line and in that room. Yes. Like, he's a warrior, and that's a really cool thing. Oh, I thought I lost it for a second. I'm going in and out.
Yeah, it popped out a second ago too, and it came right back. So
yeah, it's probably me. So.
Yeah. Who knows? All these earthquakes and eclipses and shit going on. But yeah. So Fuanga, I like him too, but I don't know if I like him at 10. Like, I would like him in a trade back. We'll go back to like 15 and get him or something like that. I'd be totally fine with that.
Absolutely.
Dunze isn't going to make it past 10 for sure. We'll be lucky if he does make it to 10, but either of them's fine. There's a ton of other prospects I like too or whatever, but I was just talking about like the guys that I know are high character. Those are two of them that I think JD is going to have his eye on.
Yeah, absolutely. Me and Dom C spoke to Fuaga on the field at the Senior Bowl. And how you just know? Yeah. I mean, how you just know? Like, when we went to ask him to talk to us, the way he spoke to us off camera, when we were done with the interview, the way he smiled at us or whatever, he was just really good. You felt he just felt very genuine, very humble, just good human being. You just got that sense about him. So you just knew. I said, this guy is a man. Like, this is a guy you want on your team. Like, this is a guy you can rely on, trustworthy. This is not a person who's going to cause problems. This is a person who's going to handle his business.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't be mad at all if we get him. So, but before I hop out of here, are there any other away games that you plan on hitting, or Jets games? You have anyone circled on the calendar?
Well, I'm kind of looking at the Arizona game as a possibility.
Yeah, see, that's close for you. Yeah, we're not close, but it's a lot closer than the East Coast. Yeah.
Yeah, but definitely, like, when the Talking Jets announce which game they're going to host, I'm going to be looking at plane flights and everything for MetLife. Like,
that'll be opening. Okay.
Yeah, if it's opening day, whatever Ryan, Greenbean, and Matt decide to do as far as which game they're going to make into the party game and do the tailgate for and do the group package, I'm going to do everything in my power to go.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm going to try to, because I live in West Virginia, so Pittsburgh's it's an hour from me. So I'm definitely going to hit that game. And I'm going to probably meet up with Dano there, and we're going to see if we can get some people together, Jet fan meet up there or whatever. But I figured being in Cali, that's a haul for you. So I didn't expect you to be able to come out. But if you do decide, hit us up.
You never know if I can't go to the game, because I might not be able to go to that game. And I might be that, You know, it might be the Steeler games makes more sense. So you never know. I never say no to any possibility, especially this early on. So you know, anytime I find out people are going that I know and that I'll get to hang out with, I'm always going to look into it. I'm always going to try, because to me, it's the people more than it is even the game. You know, just like knowing you guys are going to be there. If you suddenly get a big group of people, I want to be part of it. So I'm going to do what I can.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I mean, I like the game, of course, is going to be a blast. It's always a great atmosphere in an NFL game, I think. But yeah, like the thought of like meeting up, that's why we're trying to recruit a bunch of people, see if we can get a lot of people to come, which I know travel and stuff, it's tough for some people or whatever. But I like the idea of meeting up with like-minded hooligans, you know?
Absolutely. It'd be great.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Well, thanks, Jeremy, for having me on, buddy. I will make sure I hang out in the chat a little longer until you're done or whatever. I got nothing else to do tonight, so.
Well, brother, thanks so much for your long-term support. You've been supporting the show for so long, and I appreciate it.
Yep, appreciate you, man.
Take care.
Bye.
And that was Daniel Murphy. Great people, guys. Great people. And here's somebody, maybe not so great, but he's breathing and he likes to watch the channel, which is one extra person in my numbers. His name is.
What's up, dude?
What's up, man? How you doing, Dana?
Not bad, man. I'm not too loud, right? I just adjusted this.
That's good. Loud is good. I very rarely get complaints about too loud.
Daniel, thanks for showing up, man. That was cool. After Chaos called you out, you know, for being too good, you brought it. As far as like the package deal of Saleh and JD, man, I don't know. I guess the wrongs that JD has done, I don't know. I think I just judged his work more on the volume than everyone else. So many people like look at each thing individually and just their minds blow if one thing happens that's bad. But if you look at the sum of everything and you put it, you know, you weight it to what the choice of Zach was, he's still here a couple more years for me. Like, I don't know, maybe I just also weighed it with how hard I think it is to succeed with, you know, this franchise, but I think things would have to implode for me to get on board with everybody else on him having a short leash, but I gotta see him stick around longer. I don't know if I could stomach just going back to the well for GMs again, man. I really don't.
That's my biggest fear, and I think it's what I think a lot of people overlook. You know, they don't remember how hard it is to find a GM, and then when you find a GM, and right away they start speaking it up like Isdek and and how many years it costs you as an organization. And I'm thinking, if you find a GM that's as good as JD, somebody who left somewhere that has an amazing track record, maybe I could swallow that and understand that's why you move on from him. But if you're gonna just let him go and then do a GM search, that's fucking hideous. That's gonna make me throw up.
And honestly, I think just look at the money, man. Like, if you want to see who has a longer leash, look at those two guys' money. Like, we had to pay extra for JD. He's already like a top 6 paid GM. Saleh's making pennies, I think. I don't know, man. I think he gets extended. You're talking about a guy who arguably drafted 2 Hall of Famers and 2 Ring of Honor members in one draft. Like, I mean, you may not keep them long enough to be Ring of Honor members, but I think if any of those guys were in their own draft classes, they could easily get those distinctions. But if you clean house, I think people underestimate how many other changes would have to happen in conjunction with that. Like, even Okay, if Salah leaves, you know Albrecht's leaving too. Like you are not going to get to keep the same defense, and if you change the defense, you're not going to either get or want to keep the same personnel.
No.
That means blowing up the whole defense, which means blowing up 65-70% of the team, all the progress we've made. Like I think it stays intact, but like I said to Johnny in the chat, that if there is a change, the only thing I could see is maybe Salah like really botches some stuff to where, regardless of the circumstances, if he has to go, I could see us getting the most similar guy to him to where you could still salvage much of it. But it would have to be a coach that's like ready now, like a veteran. I think Salah was more of the project type, but we could not do that again in this window. But in my opinion, if we just go out there and we play, like, throw the pads on, let's get out there, because all this stuff is just gonna wash away.
Yeah.
Am I crazy? Am I making any points? I don't know. Like,
No, it makes sense.
I just think we just have to play ball.
I like what you're saying. I think we put too much focus and blame on things, and we don't look at a bigger picture. It's like, why can't we look at it from the perspective of he put in and in 3 years built from basically we were a franchise team. We had nothing. We were stripped down to nothing except debt, except like freaking money that we were still paying to people in dead cap. And he built us by getting, the whatever, we'll package them together. The GM and the head coach built us our top three, arguably the best defense in the NFL, and a really good offense with a Hall of Fame quarterback, and they just happened to get just slammed with tons of injuries last year. We all know what happened. Just let's give them a chance now with a healthy team.
And how hard is it to do that, having already been a GM for one? He wasn't. To do that just on any old random team that was any random record. He wasn't. He was at the bottom of the barrel. And any franchise, like, he's doing that here, which is harder, in my opinion. It's harder to attract people. It's harder to keep it together. It's harder for it to not become cancerous. And it's harder to survive sub 500 seasons while you develop a quarterback. It would not have taken long for that to crumble the last few years. So, like, deep breaths, like, everything possible had to happen to keep him. Everybody throws out the record. Oh, but he's 30% win record. Like, take Roseman, man. Put anyone in this same situation. I don't know that you would have been much better off. And yeah, you could have had a good veteran hovering over Zach Wilson's shoulder the entire time. But guess what? That means there's no way that he would have developed under those conditions, I don't think. But yeah. I don't know.
Hey, it's unbelievable that we are where we are at right now. I don't know about you. I think you agree with me, with a ton of hope for this coming year, even though we missed the quarterback. Complete miss at quarterback, waste of a second-round pick, total swing and a miss. Becton didn't pan out, total swing and a miss.
Yeah.
What's his face? Mims, the best player we had, we thought, on the team at that time, didn't pan out, swing and a miss. If I told you all that things at that time, that 3 years later, that would have all happened, you would have thought, oh, we're still 2-12, 2-15. Oh, we still are a horrendous joke of a team, and we have no hope for the future. You wouldn't believe that we'd be sitting here talking about being a Super Bowl contender if we could stay healthy.
Exactly. Like that's the thing too. Like, it's not even, how can you look at the prior record instead of looking at our odds to win it all? Because, like, who cares if we were 800, like 8-8 the last? who cares if we were a 10-7 team? Like, if you don't have a chance to win it all, I don't even want 10-7. Like, I would rather have the record we've had thus far and this good chance to win it all than to have been like this the whole time. I mean, that's just me, though. I mean, what has Pittsburgh gotten for their playoff bursts the last few years? Nothing but a 20th overall pick every year. You're either going for it all or you're not. But regardless of the Salah JD debate, which I'm extremely in JD's corner, and Salah has some leash with me too, until he botches things irreparably. And post Zach Wilson, that's the biggest caveat. Get him out of here. I wanted to ask you about the safety spot because, I mean, I'm assuming that you look at Sherwood and he's a linebacker, right?
I mean, that's what they converted him to. But
well,
I see him as a tweener. I mean, they could line him up anywhere. But he's right now a backup linebacker. I mean, they see him as maybe the Mosley replacement potentially.
That's what I see him as too. But he is only the third guy in that safety room. All we have is Adams and Clark. Yeah. So we're clearly doing something. If it was you, would you do? I mean, everybody's talking Simmons, but like I'm wondering, it's kind of telegraphed if that's the route we're going. I'm starting to wonder if we're not gonna get one fairly early. What do you think?
We absolutely have to get another safety. Are they going to go for a guy like Simmons? I don't know. It would be unlike them. It would be surprising to me, because in that position, of the team, they haven't shown it that much value to suddenly go out and do that. To suddenly say, "Oh, we need an all-pro type guy." I think they actually. I know they like Tony Adams a lot, and they really want him to be a solid starter on the cheap, like that, because you need a certain amount of players to just be guys that don't cost a lot, that can do a halfway decent job. And I think that's one of the positions where they like to coach the guys up, just take good athletes and get what they need from them without having to pay millions of dollars. So it would be an unlike JD thing to do, I think, especially in this scheme. But that doesn't mean I wouldn't love to see it and I wouldn't be happy. This is great. But we have to have another safety, like without.
You're right. Oh yeah.
That we can trust. I mean, we have Clark is coming back from a freaking ACL, man. I mean,
that's the thing. And Adams is only a sophomore basically. I mean, he's not, but he basically is. So like,
he's still a project.
So you have to have a veteran. You have to add a veteran. You have to, unless you're converting someone, or are you bringing back like Ashton Davis?
I would not argue with that, but he's got to want to be here.
Right. But yeah, with that said, like a guy like Simmons or a draftee that's built that way, you would think would be the one thing where this defense could really, like if we had a ball hawk back there, with the way this defense is geared this year, they might have 10 picks. But I don't know enough about defense to know why Salah has never gone that route. Has he just always had bigger needs, or is it like fundamental that he wants it that way kind of thing?
I think that he would love to have an all-pro safety. He'd love to have a star, right? He'd love to be right and have these guys develop into special players. But I think that when he's looking at it like from just starting points, this defense must start with defensive line, right? Like pass rush, pressuring the quarterback is 100% how this defense works. So I think it starts on the defensive line, and then I think it's goes to linebacker, like the guy who runs the linebacker spot, where you need at least like he'll go like he trusted Quincy. He'll go with athletes, but he needed Mosley, or he would have gotten someone in the middle. And then I think it's cornerbacks. So you can, that can hold the receivers or cover the receivers long enough for the edges to get them. And then I think it's safety. I mean, It doesn't mean he doesn't value them.
No, well, no, I'm saying like more like the free safety. I'm saying the free safety ball hawking type more so.
I would love that. I don't know. I mean, and I
Yeah.
think Ashton Davis to me was the best safety on our team the last 2 years at that. You know, so I think that's the biggest part of losing Ashton Davis that hurts me is he was our best ball hawking safety.
Yeah. And how do you? I mean, if it's me, I try to get Davis back and I try to get McGovern back, because you know they're not going to command much, but they're also like great additions to this team. Like I don't know. McGovern, I think, is we're just waiting for the draft at this point. We're waiting for the comp formula, the window to close, which is like the Sunday after the draft. And I know that Huff pick is like teetering on the brink of dropping. So, yeah, there you go, Daniel. Exactly.
Awesome.
But I don't know. It wouldn't be bad to see a draft pick thrown that way. Maybe not early. Maybe like one of those fourths, like Daniel's. To me, it's like maybe would you rather throw a pick at a quarterback in the fourth or a safety?
A safety.
Yeah. Same.
I mean, and here's the thing. It's not that I'm so anti-quarterback. It's just I know the reality. And the reality is because I did it physically myself. I wrote down or had a list, me and Tony the GM, created a list of every single quarterback that was drafted after the second round since the year 2000. And I know because people love to just do the case study. Oh, the outliers. Oh, Kirk Cousins, Brock Purdy. You know, and they named the 5 or 6 quarterbacks that were drafted after the second round that had good, that have been really good. But the reality is, percentage-wise, if you write down every single quarterback drafted in the draft after the second round, it's 4%. We are ever make it in any significant way. 4%.
I believe it.
So do I want to take a safety that we believe in the film and we believe is a good safety, and it's a position of need, or do I want to take a 4% chance? Like, hey, there's a 4% chance this quarterback is going to be a starter someday. I'm going to take the safety every time.
Same, because and honestly, they could actually be thrust into play in 300-400 snaps. You know, maybe more, maybe more. But I mean,
I do think there's a chance we go third round safety if someone like Jaden Hicks is on the board, and if JD likes him as much as we like him.
And if we go O-line early.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if we don't go O-line early, that's telegraphed for 72. It really is. But I still don't think we stay at 10. I really don't. I think it would take just about nobody wanting to pay anything to come up, or someone falling in our laps for us to stay.
Yeah, I predicted JJ McCarthy. I was all over him, and he came up the board, but unfortunately, he may have come up too much, more than I wanted. I just wanted him to be a guy people would trade for the 10 pick to get. I didn't want him to become a top 5. Right. So now we're sitting in this position where if none of the quarterbacks slip, it's really hard to find a trade partner. But I still believe that edge is still a very prime position. And if Dallas Turner is sitting there available at 10, there is a possibility that there's going to be a team who wants to trade up and get the best edge in the draft.
I think best case, it'd be nice if Atlanta wanted to after trading back. I could see. I don't know. I'm kind of toying with this idea of the teams after us want those QBs, and the teams in front of us don't. So there's going to be some trades. They're not going to want to come to 10. They're going to shoot for 7 or 8 to get to. You know what I mean?
That could be just as beneficial because that can take out competition for Joe Alt, for Fashanu.
And the best all that does is drop non-QBs to us.
Yes.
You know. And I'm game for that.
And if a guy like Neighbors drops back, he's a guy people definitely would consider trading up for.
Agreed. Now, that would be a decision. I mean, I think I'd take him. But even just having him fall to us would be beneficial.
Oh, because then no matter what, we win. We either get him or we're going to get a nice little haul.
See,
So,
it's less about the teams in front of us and more about like the slots where those quarterbacks are going to go in front of us. They are, regardless of who's there to take them. Like Minnesota's going to be one of those ahead of us taking a QB. Don't know where. Does it matter? No, not really.
doesn't matter. I
No.
mean, it would be nice if they. There are certainly spots would be nice if they trade up to, like San Diego, and you put the Chargers behind us. That would be
True.
awesome because the Chargers are a big threat to take Neighbors, or
Good
Harrison.
point. Good point.
So there are certain teams I will root for to get to trade back. Like,
Yeah, no, that makes sense because then the Titans aren't even a threat, and then you got NFC teams after that.
yeah.
Good
Like
point.
if Arizona was to trade back, that's a threat to us because they're a team that would make sense to take Harrison.
Hmm.
I mean the Chargers, Tennessee, those are all teams that are taking guys that are probably high on our board. That would help that guy come down to us at 10.
Do you believe that possible smokescreen out of New England today about how they wouldn't even trade out of 3 for 3 ones?
I wouldn't expect them to. I think that.
They visited with Drake May today.
I don't even think that they would. I wouldn't if I was them. I wouldn't. They have no quarterback, and they're gonna. This is a great year for quarterbacks, and they're definitely guaranteed to have a pick at a very good one. Like they're guaranteed. It's never a sure thing, but
Right.
I'm going to say it. A great prospect. They have an absolute 100%, no doubt about it. They're going to get to select a great prospect at number 3.
Agreed. And having them in house this year. If you're drafting a QB, you want ASAP. So that makes sense. I mean, pick 3 is valuable as hell, but like you said, they're gonna have options. And if you take Drake May and you plop him in next year's draft, he's gonna be higher than 3rd, I think.
Oh, yeah. He'll be number 1.
Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, that's what
Drake May would be number 1.
Agreed.
If it wasn't for Caleb Williams, we'd be taught where he'd be the potential number 1 pick right now.
I do wish we could find, like, if we do slide back and say we get another pick for Friday, because we need more than 1 pick for Friday, I'm telling you. I would not be shocked if there's a second trade back for us somewhere. But regardless, I would really like to be in a spot to somehow get Penix, man. Somehow.
He is an interesting prospect. I think that I wouldn't be surprised at all if he goes if someone trades down to 10 with us or 11 or 12 or 9. I would not be surprised if he gets picked in the top 15. I would not be surprised at all. As a matter of fact, if there's no trades, he'll definitely go in the top 15 if there are no trades because Denver will take him or Minnesota. Someone's going to take him.
True.
Because it's the position. It's the position. And the guy had a broken leg. A broken leg's healed.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing as an Achilles or an ACL. A bone heals.
Wasn't it like a shoulder and a leg surgery like twice?
I think so, but I think they're both hard bone type injuries, not tendons.
True.
Not
and it was all before he was at Oregon, right?
Yeah, Washington.
Or Washington.
And he was perfectly healthy all year. He ran well. He runs a 4.5, which is extraordinary for a quarterback. So it hasn't affected his speed. He is fit. He's healthy. He's made it through the whole season. He made it through the whole Senior Bowl thing. He's ready to go.
There was few guys that I saw last year, but I watched that Oregon and Washington game, man, and he was just so far and away better than Nix. He was. That left arm, man, I don't know. There's just something about seeing a QB that's good throwing it lefty. Like, I don't know. It's cool.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I didn't really have any serious talking points. It was just cool to BS with you, man.
Yeah. It's cool, man. Friday night. A little Friday night mash. I think we're at like the 2-hour mark, so I got to get going anyway. But nice to end the show with you, buddy.
Yeah, if you do, I don't. You're out of market like me, so the odds of you hitting an alternate away game is minimal. But like Daniel said, at Pittsburgh, we might even have. I know Snowball's going, but we might even Gunny might be going. So maybe it'll get traction if it's early on and fairly nice out still. Just keep that in mind.
If I can get a good flight there, and it's like, and you're going to be there, and Snowball's going to be there, and Gunny's going to be there, and
Yeah.
Murphy, like all these guys are going to be there. Believe me, I'm going to make the effort. Like I will look it up. I'll see how much it'll cost to fly there. I'll try to make it happen.
Sounds good, man. Hey, have a good Friday night.
All right, brother. Thank you, and thanks everybody for being here. Thanks for supporting the show. I'll leave you with where is it? With this? Oh yeah! Oh yeah! We are live. We got Harry W. We got Richie from Jets Media, Matt O'Leary, Iowa Jets fan, we're in the house. We got Dom C in the house. We got Steve, live, CEO of the Jet Lounge. So I knew I'd get rich on my channel. See what's going on. Yeah, there we go. Woo.
Jets by $1 million today.
Yeah.